Hey everyone, how's it going? My name is Alex Bear and this is Bear English. Phrasal verbs are difficult for a number of reasons. One of the most important reasons is they simply do not exist in Spanish and almost any other language out there. A phrasal verb is essentially a verb that is combined with a preposition to form a verb that is different than the meaning of the original verb. They're one of the really cool things about English. I actually enjoy them sometimes because they allow us to create very creative expressions by adding prepositions onto verbs, which is why many gringos in Latin America and in Spain, when they're trying to talk, they'll say things like ir arriba instead of saying subir, or ir hacia abajo instead of saying bajar. Today, the 10 phrasal verbs we're going to talk about are find out, figure out, check out, mess up, get back to, make up, run out, go on, end up, and miss out. The first verb here is find out. The most important use of find out is like enterarse, to find out information. For example, I found out my sister was going to get married.
But I found out, along with some other friends, that there was a radio station at the university that would allow students to go on the air.
Another similar use is like averiguar. So when I want to find out when my flight leaves, I call the airline or I look it up online. We can also use it in the sense of descubrir. So, I'm trying to find out information. I want to find out if this person is cheating on me. Quiero descubrir que si esa persona me está montando los cachos. The second verb is figure out. Figure out can mean entender, pero en un sentido muy profundo. In another sense, it could mean resolver. For example, when I have a math problem, 5x times 3b equals y, I can say, yes, I figured it out. Lo resolví. Even when it's a homework assignment for English, if you finally understand, you can say, I figured it out.
Acting is not like math, where there is only one correct answer to the problem, and once you've figured out the formula, you're all set.
The third verb, check out. Check out is common even in the Spanish-speaking world.
En las comunicaciones con el huésped, desde el check-in hasta el check-out.
We can also use it in the sense of cobrar o pagar. When I'm ready to pay at a supermarket or at a store, I go to check out. So I put my groceries on the conveyor belt and then I pay and get my change back. I check out. Or we can also say the cashier checked me out. Me cobró.
I was standing in line at the supermarket waiting to check out my groceries.
And then we also have check out in the sense of comprobar or chequear in a more Spanglish sense, which is to verify information. Okay, so I want to know if this is correct. I need to research a little bit to check it out, to make sure it's correct. And finally, we have check out in the sense of ver o pillarse. This is very common in informal language. If you see someone attractive, you can maybe check them out. O sea, me hizo eso con los ojos. We can also use it in a sense of just, hey, check this out. Check this out. Píllate eso.
If you want an example, check out the IDB's Map America.
Number 4, to mess up. Mess up in a literal sense is desarreglarse. So when you have a room that's orderly and then a 5-year-old kid comes and just throws toys, flips over tables, makes a huge pillow fort, they have messed up the room. We can also use it in a sense of arruinar, like una vida.
Starting on drugs. It's weed, boy.
Weed is drugs, and drugs can mess up your life.
And finally, we have mess up in a more informal sense that's like embarrarlo o cagarlo. If you made a mistake, if you did something wrong, you messed something up. For example, on your first date with someone, you have too many glasses of wine and you start acting crazy. Afterwards you might think, oh gosh, I messed it up. I messed up the date. Number 5, get back to. Get back to is very common to hear on answering machines. Hi, this is Alex. I can't reach the phone at the moment. Leave your name and number and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. So get back to you is volver a contactarte.
Why don't you guys take a few minutes?
Okay, think about it and we'll get back to you. Okay.
We can also use it for volver a hacer cualquier cosa. You know, if I want to get back to work. The coronavirus quarantine me tiene mal. I just want to get back to work. To make up. The most obvious use is maquillarse, but really we usually don't say it like that. We usually say put on makeup. But we have another use that's more important, which is to make something up, like inventar. I snuck out of the house. O sea, salí de la casa a escondidas y mi mamá me pilló. What do I say? I can't tell her the truth. I have to make something up. Básicamente, contar una historia falsa.
Don't worry, it was just a story. I made it all up. Thank you very much.
To run out. Run out no tiene nada que ver con correr, okay? It has nothing to do with running. It is when you run out of something. Se te agotan algunas cosas. I have a hospital. Oh no, we ran out of gauze. We ran out of important medicines.
So now we're to the second round, because the first round ran out of money for that, right?
Phrasal verb number 8, to go on. The most basic use is similar to pasar, suceder. When I say, hey, what's going on? You know, hey, how are you doing? What's going on? You know, we're asking, ¿qué pasa? O sea, ¿en qué andas en estos días? We also have a lot of other uses for this word, some of the most important being continuar o seguir. So when something goes on for a long time. For example, I could say, you know, oh my gosh, this quarantine has been going on forever.
But what's happened between the police departments and young people has been going on for decades.
We can also use go on for durar. If something goes on for a long time. For example, the politician's speech went on for 3 hours. O sea que duró 3 horas. And two less common uses of go on can be for age. For example, we could say, I am going on 24 years old. O sea, voy para 24 años.
You are 16, going on 17.
End up. End up is very, very common in English, but it's essentially the same thing as acabar o terminar. You know, I could say, I ended up in an unknown neighborhood because I took the wrong bus.
I might not have been given the American scholarship. My writing might not have ended up being successful. But the point is that I tried.
Finally, we have to miss out or to miss out on. In this case, we're talking about perderse algo. For example, many advertisements will say, don't miss out on this great opportunity. We have a great sale. O sea, hay una rebaja de precios. And we don't want you to miss out on this opportunity.
And you have declared that no child in the city of Syracuse should miss out on a college education because they can't pay for it.
We can also use it in the sense of, you know, I hate missing out on good times. O sea, odio perderme buenos ratos con los amigos. Which leads to a slang term which is called FOMO. FOMO means fear of missing out, and it refers to the feeling that you get when you say no to going out with your friends because maybe you're tired, maybe you have work to do, and then you feel an anxiety that you're missing out on incredible moments.
FOMO, or the fear of missing out, is an actual social anxiety from the fear that you are missing a potential connection, event, or opportunity.
Okay, linda gente, I hope that you've liked this episode. We'll be continuing some more videos on phrasal verbs in the future so that you can get to practicing them. Let me know if you have any questions below in the comments on how to use these phrasal verbs or more so that I can add them to future videos. As always, directly from the beautiful state of Iowa, United States, this has been Bear English. See you all next time.